those of you that haven't seen it before, we just have this as a bit of time where we can talk to people that have had any issues, and then just give you a bit of advice if you're going through the same thing, or just out of interest, really, isn't it? Some of it's just a bit scangalang, but yeah. So we've got Emma Berry, my dude that's going to teach me how to clip my pony. Because how bad was that?
That was pretty shameful. Yeah,
it was shameful. I did think about clipping for the Abbey Lyle clinic, and then I was like, I can't do it, because if Emma sees a picture of the horse with the reverse Mohican, she's going to kill me. Like, I just can't do it. I mustn't do it. So I decided, no, it's just not going to happen.
No.
It's not going to happen.
You don't need to clip yet. You don't need to clip yet. Not yet.
I know, but she gets really hot though. So I thought, do you not need to if they're really like furry?
Well, one of mine is clipped all year round, and then the other one's thoroughbred. So it's too early. Don't start doing it yet. It's a long way till February.
Yeah, this is true. And I might need to drive down and have a bit of a tutorial, to be honest. Hi, Wendy. Hi, Ria. Hi, Nat. So there's a few more people saying hi as well. Hi. So what do you do? Because I've obviously met you, because we all met, didn't we, through lockdown and the brilliant lives that Vic from Equiboodle did. Yay! Which were ace.
Yeah.
But I know that you event, and I know that you show, but like, do you do that full time? Is that like your job? Or
no, so I'm a freelance groom.
Okay.
And so I tend to cover eventing yards, private families. I'm currently covering 2 event riders. One's had a nasty fall and injured her back, and the other yard, they've just gone off to Bergen for the weekend. So I've got their horses to cover for the weekend. So I do that, and I'm a qualified lash technician as well.
No way.
Lashes as well when we're finally allowed to now.
Oh, I might need to trade. Not that I'm saying you need Botox, but if you want to trade, I'll trade you.
I'll have Botox. Look at that.
It's just not, but I'm sure we'll find a way to trade. That's grand. So how many horses have you got then? Have you got 2?
I've got 3. So I've got, my daughter's got a little Dartmoor pony, who we had on loan initially, but we've actually been given him, but she doesn't know that. And then I've got Milo and Cosmo. Milo is a big 17-2 Strawberry Roan, who was an eventer, but due to injury, he had 2 years off.
Okay.
And he's back, and he's 100% sound now. But I'm too scared to go and jump him in case he breaks again. So I have turned him into a middleweight show hunter.
Okay.
So I show cobs, heavyweight and lightweight cobs.
Yeah.
And the lady that's a good friend of mine, she shows at county level. So we've got our first competition on Saturday.
Oh, fab.
I bought earplugs and calming cookies and all the rest of it. It might absolutely disgrace me, but
calming cookies. I drugged Win up to high heaven for the clinics just in case. Just in case. She's not even nervous, but I was like, have it.
Yeah,
Did you get the human ones as well?
Yeah. Well, we went to where did we go? We went to Olympia, and they were handing out the human ones there, and I'll do anything for a freebie. So I was like, oh, what are these? And so they gave me that, and they're actually they're really nice.
I'll have to try. I'll have to try. You'll have to let us know how you get on with them. So go on, so that's Milo. What about your other one?
And then Cosmo, the bay horse. So he's my eventer.
Yeah.
We haven't done anything this season.
But you won't this season, will you?
I wrote this season off. I didn't even pay for my BE membership, thank goodness.
Yeah.
So he's ready to go out now. I'm just going to run him around the unaffiliated till the end of the season, because most of the tracks are at BE courses anyway. So I just think I'm just going to do that. So yeah, but no, they're really good. All fit and ready to go. And
did you ride in lockdown then? The $1,000 question.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm guilty. I rode in a sensible way. I just rode in the school and walked around a tiny loop. Nothing. I think for me it was, as long as you're not doing anything that you wouldn't normally do. Like if I'd have suddenly decided I'm going to go and learn cross country jumping, that would be really stupid. But I think if you were doing stuff that you normally did, then actually if you were sensible, you would at no more risk than going onto the horses later on and then causing a problem, you know.
I didn't jump at all. I just stuck to flat work and just happy hacking. I mean, we hacked for miles.
Did you?
Miles and miles and miles. And that's how I got them fit, really. It's just hacking, just walking and trotting for hours. But there was nothing else to do. So we were like, might as well hack out.
And do you think, because loads of people have said, haven't they, with the lockdown, do you think with the horses that it was good? Because a lot of people have said, like, it took the pressure off them, it took the pressure off the horses, and that actually the horses are going better, or have you no different?
I think it's been a blessing in disguise, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not just to my own, but to some of the competition horses that obviously get trawled around the circuit year after year. I think it's good just to give them a bit of a break. And I know there's all the arguments over the age classes, you know. I don't kind of know what they're going to do with those. But yeah, it's done my two the world of good just to have a bit of a chill pill and just sit at home and just enjoy them for once, you know, and not constantly trying to balance work and life and horses and competition and everything else in between.
Because then otherwise your bit becomes a bit of a chore, doesn't it? And like, and it shouldn't be, but then when you're having to, I guess, when you're having to work to do the other horses to pay for your own horses, the last thing you kind of want is yours to become a chore and a pressure, because then how do you enjoy your bit? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I gave up horses for that reason of my own, because I was working full time in a hunt yard, and then I went into racing, and you just can't. I don't think personally you can work full time and have horses of your own and compete them, unless you're lucky enough to have them in like full livery. But no.
It's well, I mean, I don't compete, do I? Only do the odd little bit at the moment. But even just looking after horses and working full time is a nightmare. But actually, slightly easier for me because I work a lot of late shifts. So I've got that time in the morning to sort them out, get everything ready, and then like fish or somebody can drag them in, and it's not so much of a drama. But if you didn't have that and you were doing the whole 8-6 thing or whatever, well, you'd just be exhausted all the time, like just be a treadmill.
You just end up resenting them, I think, but as you say, because they become a burden, and you're like,
interesting. So honestly, so many people have said to me, like at work as well, like the horsey guys, that actually the time with the horses was, I mean, I know it was great for the people when they're working throughout COVID and stuff, just spending time with horses because it's so relaxing, isn't it? But I think so many people said that actually the horses were better for having that bit of a break. And a lot of the sort of pro riders that I know, they're actually having the time to really dedicate to their own horses. Yeah. Definitely. It's a shame, really. We all need to be uber rich so that we have grooms and aren't grooms, isn't it? That's what we need to do. A massive horse lotto win to support everybody in the future. So we came on here because you were telling me, which I was really shocked about because I didn't know that you'd been so poorly, but you had a proper, like, it wasn't a brush with cancer, was it? It was like a proper go at it.
Yeah.
So go on. So tell us what happened.
So I was 29, just turning 30. So 6-7 years ago. And I was one of these people that I had never gone for a smear test. You know, I kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, you know, too busy, can't get in, you know. It wasn't the fact that I was embarrassed about it or anything like that, because I think once you've had children, your dignity goes out the window anyway.
You haven't got any, have you? No.
Exactly. I just never got round to doing it anyway, and I found myself in the nurse's office, and I was like, oh well, while I'm here I might as well get it done.
Yeah, good move.
So I had my smear test done. Didn't hurt, you know, nothing painful, nothing like that. And they were like, okay, you know, we'll send results, wait for your results. I think I had to wait less than a week, I think.
Oh wow, good. Yeah.
And they came back saying that they had found abnormal cells, which from what I've heard is pretty common.
Yeah, massively, yeah.
So off I had to go to our local hospital, is the John Radcliffe here at Oxford. And then there's another hospital called, is it the Churchill? I think it's the Churchill or the
I think it's the Churchill,
which deals mainly with cancer patients and treatment and testing and all of that lot. So off I toddled, you know, and they're like, oh, I had to go to colposcopy, which is basically where they take what's it
A
called?
biopsy.
A biopsy.
It's like a cone biopsy. So instead of just a bit of a scrape like your smear is, they actually take a, I don't want to use the word chunk, but after what you told me, tell them what you did, because I know what you did.
So they took the biopsy and they leave you to get dressed and all the rest of it. And me being me, I'm a nosy bugger. And on the side was a little pessary dish, and there's this blue paper towel over the top of it. And I thought, oh, I'll have a look. You know, I wish I hadn't. So it was like a tuna steak is the only way I can describe it. And I was like, oh my God. They kind of hobbled out of colposcopy, and they were like, oh, well, we'll get the results to you in a couple of weeks, this, that, and the other. So off I went. And I remember I went off on my friend's hen do, and it was our birthdays and blah, blah, blah. And then I had the phone call from the hospital saying, oh, we've got your results. You need to come in. So everybody, my parents don't live in this country. They live in Spain. My sister is way up north. And so I was like, okay, I'll just go. I'll go by myself. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's nothing. It's nothing. And I remember walking through the hallways, and I remember seeing these really, really sick cancer patients thinking, oh my God, you know, I mean, it's awful. And they called me through, and it was an Asian doctor, and he sat me down, and I can honestly say to this day, all I heard was, you've got cancer. I don't remember anything else he said. And I remember sitting there just going, I'm by myself. I'm by myself. And he was like, we'll be in contact with you because you're going to have to make a decision whether I had a hysterectomy at the age of 30. And this was a decision that had to be made by me. Because I was 30, they said if I was in my 20s, late 20s, they would turn and say no, and we'll monitor you and all the rest of it. And if I was in my 40s and they'd push me for it, I wouldn't really have an option. I'd have to have a hysterectomy. Now, at the time, I've got 2 children. I've got a boy and a girl. I'm very lucky. And at the time, I didn't want any more. You know, I'm like, no, that's fine. And the thought of me getting really sick because I was a single mum working full time, I just couldn't afford to be sick. And I didn't want my children to see me sick either.
No.
So I opted for the hysterectomy, which was at the time I didn't really think about it. I just wanted it over and done with. And as I said to you, they grade your cancer cells like on 1 to 4. And mine was a 4. So we're talking like Jade Goody level. And unfortunately she passed away, but we found mine. So I remember walking out of there absolutely just in disbelief that this was happening. And I remember
I'd be in shock, like, wouldn't you? You don't expect to be ill or have cancer at your age, like, because
I didn't feel ill, you know. I didn't feel sick. I didn't have any symptoms. There was nothing wrong with me, in my opinion. And I was like, are you sure? And I remember ringing my friend, and I couldn't even talk. I was sobbing down the phone at her. So that was that. And then literally they were like, we'll send you an operating date to have your hysterectomy. And up until that moment, I hadn't told anybody. Nobody knew. I'd kept it all to myself. Not even my mum knew. At the time I was working as a hunt groom, and I remember having to sit down in my boss's office and tell them. And to be fair, they were great. They were so good. And then the date came through for my operation, and I remember ringing the clinic, and I was like, I'm really sorry, I can't do that date. There's a hunt ball that I really need to go to. I've worked really hard. And they were just like, you don't have an option.
Sorry, you can't do it next week. You can't go to the hunt ball, Cinderella.
So and that was it. And in I went. think I had to be there for like 7 o'clock in the morning. You're not allowed
Yeah.
to eat or drink or anything, and then they talk you through all the anaesthetic and then
you had it keyhole, didn't you? Because we talked about this the other night, didn't we? And you had it keyhole. So how was it? Was it? Had you had surgery before, or was that your first?
I've had surgery on a dislocated knee and a broken arm, but never like keyhole surgery.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally wake up, and the only thing is you're bloated because if I'm right in thinking, they pump you full of some sort of gas to expand everything out, don't they?
Yeah.
So I kind of woke up looking like I'd eaten too many roast dinners.
Yeah.
And just like little pads, like sticky pads on me, and that was it. And then I had those Blowtron boots on,
the squeezy calf boots.
To stop. Is it DVT?
DVTs, yeah.
And then again, like my mum was there, and she turned up, and then because I'm just, as I said, I'm really nosy, I read through my notes at the end of the bed, and that had said that I'd had a blood transfusion like mid-op as well, and I think I had a colostomy bag fitted as well, which was very undignifying. Mortified. I think I was more mortified at that than anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
So you've just had, obviously, because like a lot of people didn't know that this has ever happened, so you've just had a load of comments come through. So excuse my thumb, but I will just tell you what people are saying. So Jane says she can't listen at the moment because she's just about to start work, but she had cervical cancer despite going regularly for her smears. So please go get checked, everyone. She's very lucky, and she's still here to tell the tale. Vic says, oh my God, Emma. Eden says, how scary, I can't imagine. Tracy Davidson says, I was diagnosed with cervical cancer at 29 with no children. I had the tumour removed, so started riding horses for the first time at 32. It came back at 35. So hysterectomy. I'm 50 in a few weeks and still going strong, so you stay strong, Emma.
Yeah.
And Jackie says you're a strong woman, which I completely agree. So you'd kind of got, I mean, that wasn't quite it, was it? But you got through your surgery. Luckily, it had been keyhole, because sometimes with the keyhole surgery, if we struggle, we have to actually open your tummy up. But recovery-wise, we want to try and keep it keyhole if we can.
Yes.
And quite rightly, as you said, everybody feels so bloated because we have to blow your tummy up to look like you're 9-10 months pregnant, because otherwise we can't move the instruments around inside. And it, even though we squash it all out, like we literally squash it out and sew up, it's your feel and the stretch. So you do feel it. Did you get the shoulder blade pain, like wind pain?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really weird. So yeah, and of course I wasn't.
How long were you in for then? Were you in for a few days or?
Yeah, I think I was in for like 4 nights. They kept me in.
Because you made a friend, didn't you, in the ward? You were telling me.
She wasn't a friend. Okay. So I think in every hospital there is always one person who roams all the wards trying to find a friend and bring you magazines. And gynecology is not aimed at 30-year-old people. It's more like 60, 70 plus.
Yeah.
And so I would kind of spend most of my day with the curtain round, and then the nurses would come in and open it all up, and then be like, and then this girl would appear, and she was desperate to talk to me, and I'm just like, please go away, just please go away. But there was a really sweet old lady opposite me, and she was like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I just want to go home. So yeah, so then I come home, and then it's 6 weeks of no lifting, no doing anything, which from working.
Were you good or not?
I was very good. I didn't drive.
Oh, well done.
I didn't drive. I didn't do any of my washing. My mum did all my washing.
Nice one.
I literally just sat on the sofa and watched daytime telly.
Nice.
And then
I always warn patients with the keyhole as well. Like, it looks like we haven't done anything, but on the inside, we've done exactly the same as we would have done because a scar for that, before the keyhole, would have been like that long. What you had. Yeah, all the way across, like a section. Exactly the same. But when you do it keyhole, they're like this big, aren't they?
Yeah, well,
And
I've
then you're
got
like,
a cross and a plus. I look like a battery. So I've got a cross on my right hand side and like a minus on my left. And then my belly button's got various different scars in it now because they go through your belly button, which sounds worse than it is.
Well, you're asleep, like. You are asleep. We don't like impale you through the belly button to keep you on the bed before we start. Now you can have some drugs. Can you imagine? It'd be very medieval. It'd be very medieval. But you were better to start with, weren't you? So how did things
I
go
was
from
better
there?
to start with, and then I suppose a year or so after, I noticed every time I sneezed or coughed, I got like this real bad shooting pain, like down one side.
Yeah.
So I went back to my doctors and said something's not right, and then they sent me for a scan, and they'd noticed that some of the scar tissue had attached itself to my like abdomen, the inside of my abdomen.
Yeah.
So it kind of pulled every time I sneezed or coughed. So then I had to go back in, and then they had to undo all of that. So of course they go back through the same scars again for minimal scarring. So then they did that, and then to be fair, everything was fine.
And from the cancer point of view, were you done at that point?
Yeah,
clear,
all
brilliant.
All
so
gone.
no chemotherapy, no radiotherapy needed.
No.
So that's really good, isn't it?
Nothing.
That's
they
really
got it
good.
out in one hit, and then I had to go for a Volt smear.
Yeah.
Which I don't really understand it. I went for it, but then again, it came back all clear, so they'd got everything out in one hit.
So all that is, Emma, if you think about, obviously, sorry to any boys, but obviously at the top of the vagina, the opening of the womb inside is the cervix. That's, and you know, when they've done your hysterectomy, they absolutely will have taken the cervix away because you're not going to want to leave in the bit that's cancerous.
No.
So the vault is just basically like a church roof. So the bit that's left, that's all it is. It's no different. It's just that it's not a cervical smear because the cervix isn't there. Just us trying to sound clever, and we're not. That's all it is.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until 2, maybe 3 years ago, I had a complete turn for the worse. So I was sat at home with Ash, where I am now. I was sat in the armchair across the room, and I got this really, really like sharp pain in my right hand side, and the only way I can describe it to those of us that have had children, it was like full on labour. Like,
well, that's not funny.
That kind of pain.
Yeah.
And I remember turning to Ash, and he was like, "Are you okay?" I said, "Oh, I've got a real bad pain in my side." And literally, he then kind of watched me for a few minutes, and so he then rang 111 because we didn't want to bother the ambulance service. And they very quickly realised that something was really wrong. Literally, the colour drained out of me in minutes. So a lovely paramedic crew turned up at the house, and they initially thought it was my appendix.
Right.
That ruptured.
Yeah.
So I got blue lighted into Oxford.
Yeah.
When I got to Oxford, I was kind of dumped in a wheelchair and then put in the waiting area of kind of trauma, I suppose, where the ambulance is going. I don't know. And it was, by this time, it was really, really late at night. It was about 11:30. Of course, all the kids are here, and so Ash had to like sort of cover for the kids and all the rest of it. So I'm in the waiting room, and you know that feeling where you come over like you're going to be sick. You come over it's really hot and clammy. So I'm desperately trying to find out where the toilet is to make a run for it. Go to stand up and literally hit the floor. And it was the cleaner, bless her. She kind of picked me up and she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, I'm
clearly not
gonna pass out, you know. Then I got put onto a bed, and by this point Ash had turned up, and I was physically shaking from top to bottom. I just couldn't start. I think, is that what shock is? I don't know.
I think
So I think I was going into shock, so they just pumped me full of morphine. I think they gave me whatever the maximum dose is because they didn't know what was wrong with me. Then I got sent to gynecology, where again they weren't too sure what was happening. I then had to go all night with this excruciating pain, until the next morning. Then I got sent for a scan.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a normal scan.
So the internal scan.
It was an internal scan, which, when you don't know what's going on and you're in agony,
not funny.
I could really feel it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so cut a long story short, I'd got ovarian torsion. So basically, there was a large cyst on my ovary because they had left my ovaries in, because if they had taken them out, I would have gone into early menopause.
Yeah.
So I had a large cyst on my ovary, and the weight of it had caused it to twist, which is absolutely excruciating.
Agony.
Like, I can't tell you how painful it was.
Because it cuts the blood supply off. So we call it ischemia, but it's like it cuts the blood supply off. So the ovary is literally screaming for oxygen from like 3 minutes in. I mean, how long can you hold your breath? Not very long. So imagine twisting it and leaving it there. It's screaming.
It was
you
so
poor
painful.
thing.
It was so
Poor
painful.
thing.
I remember, because I couldn't see the screen for the scan, there was a nurse stood in front of me and I saw her face. And of course, I just thought the worst straight away. I'm like, oh my God. Of course,
because you've had the cancer.
It's now spread to my ovaries, I can't do this again.
Yeah.
And then I had surgery. The doctor I got pushed back to the ward, and the doctor came around and she's like, oh, we're going to have to operate on you because we're going to have to untwist it.
Yeah.
Which they did. But then it did it again twice.
Yeah.
And then I keep getting like the pain. I mean, the pain wakes you up. It's that if you're in a deep sleep, it will wake you up. It literally, like the flick of a switch. It is excruciating. And I kind of lie there going, it'll go away in a minute. It'll go away in a minute. And Ash is like, please go and get yourself checked out. And I'm like, I don't know where to go.
Oh,
but yeah, it's not much fun.
And is it always the same side, Emma? Is it always the same ovary?
Right. It's always the right. Yeah.
Because I think it just depends, like, sort of with a sort of surgical hat on, I think you probably should go and see gynae and, have a chat with them about. It just depends on how often it's happening,
Well,
because
it woke me up at 3:30 this morning.
Oh, so it's regular.
Yeah.
I think I'd have a chat with them about maybe having a look at whether they can get rid of that cyst for you, or even potentially taking that ovary out and leaving you with the other one, because it's always a risk, isn't it? It's difficult to know what the best thing is to do, but I think if it's massive, you've got to look at the effect it's having on your life. Like if it's only every now and then it may never happen again.
Becoming more regular. And the pain when it does it almost like paralyzes like my right hand side.
Yeah, it's probably one of the true. There's what the gynecological emergency we all get told about is ectopic pregnancy, but the other one is a torted ovary. Really? They are emergencies. Like, there's not many things in gynecology that are an emergency, but the two things are. And I think you go back to them, and the GP can just refer you back in. Like, they'll see you.
Oh, okay.
No problem. I would go back, because even if it's just that you've kind of touched base to explain where you are, because I don't know there may well be other things that they do now. I don't know. I'm not a gynecologist, but at least if you're on their radar as well. Then if it does happen, you could sometimes we'll give open access as well into the surgical assessment unit for people that like yourself that maybe have something like that. And they'll write a plan for you, so that if it does, and they say, okay, well, give us 6 hours worth of fluids and analgesia, and then we'll go from there. If it hasn't settled at that point, then we want the consultant to be, told at any time in that 24 hours. Like, we do have plans like that for people, and that can avoid you having to wait in A&E for
this is it, because
4, 5, 10, 12 hours, because
the last
we can't
time
get you in.
It had started, and Ash was like, I can't watch you go through this. So he took me to A&E, and because we sat there for so long, it kind of died off. So by the time I got seen, I was all right again.
It's getting better.
And because I can't touch, do you know what I mean when I say I can't touch the pain? You know, sometimes if you've got an ache, if you can touch it, it kind of relieves it a little bit.
You can rub it, can't you? Like, if it hurt, you do this, don't you?
Yeah, but it's so far in, I can't touch
it. To it,
just to get to it, and trying to explain where it is.
Yeah.
because they think sometimes that it's my pelvis. I'm like, it's not my pelvis. It's
No.
further in. So yeah.
But I think even if you go and see gynae and they say, look, we don't think on balance the best thing to do is to operate again, which they may well do. Like, you have to take what there is opinion, you know, and go with that. But what they can do is provide you with a letter to say that you have regular ovarian torsion, so that if you come in with abdominal pain, this is the most likely thing it is. Like, obviously check you haven't got something else.
Yeah.
But this is the most likely thing it is, because then it flags up to those people that actually, those admitting nurses and triage nurses, that you've genuinely got something that's going on.
Yeah, I'm not there just to waste your time. I'm
Yeah,
genuinely in pain. Yeah.
Yeah, we genuinely don't try and make people feel like that. But I know sometimes when you're coming regularly, you can feel like that. And it's like, well, you know, yeah, I was here with it then, and then you almost feel like you're apologising for being ill, and you shouldn't be having to apologise for being ill.
You know, 'cause I'm like, oh God, you know.
Yeah, oh bless you, oh bless you. But at least you whooped cancer's ass then. Well done, you. Pretty impressive.
I did, and as I said to you the other day, though, it's weird. It's part of my life.
Yeah.
I just shut the door on completely. So I think speaking about it, if I can get one person to go and get their Smith test done, go and do it, because it can happen to anyone. I think they say the statistics are like 1 in 3 women.
Yeah.
So
well, definitely the uptake of smears is down, and that's not COVID. Like, as a general.
Do you think that's because people think it hurts and it's painful and all the rest of it, or do you just think they're just embarrassed almost?
I think it's partly that, and I think partly because of the vaccine coming out. I think people think, oh, it's not gonna happen. Do you know what I mean? So for, like, you'll know, but for other people that don't know, like, human papillomavirus is associated with cervical cancer really, really, really strongly. I think about 70% of cancers are associated with HPV. And it's HPV, there are different ones, like 1, 2, 3, 4, it goes up to loads, but I think it's 16 and 18 are the ones that are really associated with cancers.
Right.
And we can have that virus just living on us. Like, it is an STI. You know, a lot of people think, oh, it's the most common STI. It isn't, because there are a million ways of contracting that. I think they estimate that about 9 out of 10 women and men will have had HPV virus. And normally somebody would clear that themselves in 2 years. So within 2 years, it's gone out of your system. The problem is we've got no way of checking whose has gone and whose hasn't.
Right.
So I think it was about 2008, I think maybe 2009, that the HPV vaccines came out. So then I think there became a bit of a mentality that, well, it's been, everyone's vaccinated against it now. But obviously there's a big swathe of people. I mean, you're loads younger than me, and you didn't have it. Like, I certainly haven't had it.
No.
You know,
so there is big,
so there's a big swathe of people that haven't had it. So it's so important. Smear tests start at 25 now. They used to start, well, like when I first started having mine, I think they started at about 18, 19. Like, they started early. But now it's all to do with whether it's worth screening a whole population and the number that you pick up and the likelihood of people getting it. See, probably under 25s now, you shouldn't need to, because they should have all had the vaccine.
Yeah.
Now, I know that last year, and I think it may have been held up, but all boys 12 to 13 were being vaccinated or having it offered from last year, which is good, because hopefully at some point, as all those younger people come through, we should hopefully eradicate 16 and 18.
Yeah.
So that will drop the risk of it again. But there's a big wodge of people in the middle, and even if you do get vaccinated, there's always going to be a wodge of people that get it anyway, because not all of them are 16 and 18.
Yeah.
But I think it's partly that, and I think, like, I don't know, why do you think, why didn't you go? Like, what was your, why, just not thinking about it, or?
I just kept putting it off. You know, I got the letters through the post like everybody else does, and I was like, I must.
Yeah, and then next one, yeah. But I think it's so important, and I think like we talked about this before, I really do think that without doubt somebody will watch this and go because of that.
I really hope so.
And, you know, the reality is if you detect this early, it's normally completely treatable.
Yeah.
It's very, I mean, you are very, very lucky.
I know.
We talked about this as well. Like, you were very, very lucky, especially at a 4, like that they could just get it all. And also that you didn't need any mopping up. Like,
no, I know. Because the thought of having chemo or radiotherapy just frightened me to death.
Yeah, not surprised. It's not easy, is it?
Yeah,
it's not easy.
I've got friends that have gone through it, and I've seen how poorly they get with it, and I don't think I could cope with having stuff like that. I'm a bit of a wimp when it comes to me.
Yeah, I think, well, not that I'm wishing it on you, but I think you could, because I think you're very strong. I think you're a very strong person. You just deal with it. I think when you're in that situation, you've got no choice. You just got to crack on with it. Yeah.
And when you've got 2 kids at home. And
exactly.
So Josh would have been, how is he now? 15. So he was 6 and Lottie was 3. You know, and
it's terrifying, that, isn't it?
You know, and I was just like, oh my God, what if I die? If I die, I remember saying actually to my mum and my sister, if I do die, do not let their dad have them. They are not to go with their dad. You know, but also at the time, I think that, as I said, I elected for the hysterectomy because my life at the time, I wasn't with Ash. You know, I had 2 children.
Yeah.
I was quite content with what I've got. And as I said to you the other night, it's not now I'm married, you know, my kids are older. And of course, the thought of having a baby with Ash would be quite nice. And because we got married, everyone's like, oh, when's the baby due? And I'm like, I describe myself as a barren mare.
Oh, Emma.
But I can laugh about it now.
Yeah.
But it's always the way when you always want something you can't have, isn't it?
Yeah, so, massively.
But
massively.
Hey, I've got loads of dogs instead, so I've
got
fur babies now.
And you've got, like you say, you've got your 2, and Ash has got a little boy, hasn't he, as well?
Yeah.
A little boy. Yeah. So at least you can shower them with.
Yeah, exactly. And they're of an age now, you know, we can go, I've done the tough bit. They're kind of at the easiest stage now. So we can go out and have fun and have really good days out and enjoy each other's company now.
Yeah, that's I'm lucky because mine have all, well, you try and get them to move out, and then because of COVID they come back. Like, what's all that about? They're like bloody boomerangs, I tell you.
Mine literally just come back from Cornwall today.
Have they?
Yeah.
So what would if you had to say that you'd learned one thing from the whole thing, what was it? Did it change, like, we talked about this the other night as well, is it like how you look at things now? Is it different having an actual proper, like, brush with death, having to think about that? Like,
it does make you kind of appreciate what you've got and kind of think, you know, as bad as you think life is that day, tomorrow's another day. Come on, you're fine. Just come on. Yeah, you're fine. We all have down days. We all have really rubbish days. Yeah. And I have really rubbish days, you know, and I've got Ash. Don't be so hard on yourself. I'm too hard on myself. That's my downfall. But yeah, you do kind of appreciate what you've got, and you just think, got it. Just do it anyway. Just go for it.
Because I think sometimes we don't appreciate health. Do you know what I mean? Like, we know when we're sick, and like, I think it's one of the things that I kind of pulled out of COVID. Like, you don't, because we did see like young people that shouldn't have like died or been ill, and then you think, God, you don't think about, when you're younger, you don't think about your health. You don't. I mean, I know some people doing their dead good, but I mean, I work in it, and I don't sit there thinking, oh, I shouldn't do X, Y, and Z. Like, I just take it for granted a little bit, I think.
Yeah, totally. And you do think you have that attitude until it does happen to you. You're like, it'll never happen to me. That won't be me. That, you know, I'm fit, I'm healthy, I'm fine. And then it literally comes and slaps you in the face to go, reality check. No, you're not, you know. So,
well, I think you're very brave and very inspirational. And I will tell you, because you've had a load more. So let me just tell you this, because I know that you said you just wanted one person. And Alice has said she's going to ring her GP. She's 28 and has Haven't
Yay.
received a smear test letter. She's avoided the subject, but she can't and won't anymore.
Go and do it.
Yeah. Tracy says, please go. Cheers to the smears. Jane says, self-hypnosis is fab for women who worry about having a smear. They can be anywhere they want to be while they're on their backs with a speculum inside them. Very true. Vic says, do you worry about it still, or have you kind of just compartmentalized it, or do you still like worry that it will come back?
Not really. Occasionally you'll kind of go into that mindset of, oh, maybe it has come back, especially with the ovarian torsion. You can't help but think the worst. But no, I just kind of block it. I've just blocked it out really, and I'm just like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
So the Volt smear all came back clean. So
yeah, so there's no reason for you to be worried.
There's no reason. No.
And there's nothing that you can, I don't know whether that's blasé or not, but there's nothing you can do to prevent it. But obviously you don't smoke anyway, do you? But like there are risk factors. So smoking, you're in a stable relationship anyway, you're pretty healthy and you're going for your screening. So all the risk factors you're addressing anyway. So there's no reason to think that you wouldn't. And I think in some ways with bad stuff, I don't think you have to think about it all the time. I think sometimes you just got to put some stuff away.
And that's
get on with
what
it.
I've done. Just shut the door on it, and I'm like, I'm still here.
Apart from me dragging it all out, soz.
Yeah, but no, it's good for me to talk about it because I've literally a lot of even like my close friends, they wouldn't have a clue because it's it's not. I mean, if somebody asked me, then I'm more than happy to tell them. But it's not something I bring up in conversation.
No.
I think people find it a bit awkward sometimes because they don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just kind of go, oh no, fine.
But you're fine now.
Fine.
Oh no, I think you're massively brave. So let me just see, because I had thought about some other things. Let me just see. So that was the other thing for me, I guess, is as a doctor, like the big thing is that people are understanding that the majority of it is treatable. Like the smears are vile. You're never going to choose to go and have one, are you, for fun?
Not
and
really.
Incredibly weird. But it will it will save your life. It's just one of those kind of JFDI things, isn't it, that you've got to just do. And I genuinely do think, and I know that, like when you were saying to me, like if just one person could go, I think there's going to be a lot more than one person that will go from you being brave enough to talk about it, because it's a difficult time in your life. I guess the other thing I kind of picked out from what we've talked about is that if a hospital phone you and say you need to come in for some results, that is a bit of a wavy flag that you should probably take somebody with you. Because even when we talked about it the other night, I was like, I just cannot imagine receiving that news on your own and then having to drive home. And
it was, in hindsight, it was a really naive and stupid thing to do.
No, it's not. It's just, why would you think that they're going to say that to you? You're not, are you?
It's fine. I'm fine. And I didn't want to kind of drag anybody away from their afternoon off work or something for them to go, oh yeah, you're fine, so, but yeah, no, lesson learned.
Oh, bless you.
Lesson learned.
So from the horses, what's the plan for this year then? Unaffiliated, teach me to clip, please. Could you do some, like, you're a shower, can you not do some like little video show things, show us how to, because all us beginners like me don't know how to do this stuff.
So
we'd love some vids. We'd love them. Yeah, just like how do you get feathers? Like I had to clip Wynn's feathers so that she didn't look quite so bog trotter. Not that all feathers look bog trottery. I'm not saying that before I get annihilated, but I wanted her to look like a dressage pony. And I know that cobs can be dressage ponies as well. I'm talking myself into a bigger hole, aren't I? But I didn't want feathers on her. But just, because it's to know how to do all of that malarkey and how to actually.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of tips with the showing. Obviously, I went into showing like completely blind. I didn't know anything.
How was that? Is it vicious in that little circle or not? I kind of think it might be a bit like like pageants. Is it like a pageant?
No, it's not.
No.
So basically, so the lady I worked for at the time, she showed me how to obviously trim all the feathers off and hog the manes.
Yeah.
And then the weirdest thing I had to learn was how to put makeup on horses,
Mental.
which is just the strangest thing to do. But there's a definite
where on their faces or
yeah. So you put we had 2 grey horses, so you put makeup around their eyes.
Yeah.
And then you like blacken out all their ears as well. And then if they've got dark muzzles, you blacken all their muzzles out and baby oil and makeup. And then some people darken out like all their knees and their hocks, so their points. Chalking, and then
is it chalking just for the white bits then to make them whiter?
Just for the white bits, and then you have like a hoof varnish, which is like black, and it's like black nail varnish for horses. But you have to be careful because there was some chalk you put on, and if you put the black varnish on, the feet would go green. So
can you imagine?
Yeah. So I was really lucky, and I travelled around the county circuit, and we had the best couple of years. The horses were absolutely amazing. But I spent a lot of my time sitting on the ramp of the lorry at shows, just watching the professionals, because you can pick up an awful lot from watching like how Katie Duran does her makeup, or whoever does their bits. And you can always go and ask them. I mean, don't ask them if they're really busy.
Yeah.
But if you kind of catch them when they're like back at the lorry, most of them will kind of go, well, yeah, just try this. Or, it's like Milo's now a middleweight hunter. And so I've had to teach myself how to do like these rose plaits.
So cute though.
They're the ones that kind of sit up in the braided bit to give them more of a definition, more like the dressage horse, give them more of a neck. So we'll put those to skill on Saturday.
And so do you do you have the tails? Will you have a tail plaited for Working Hunter as well, or is it free tail?
Pulled.
Oh, okay.
And pulled with.
And do you pull or do you use the yellow?
I've got a tail rake. I think they're much better. I can pull, but I can do one side perfectly, and then the other side not so perfect.
Okay.
So I use a tail rake, and then Smart Grooming have just brought out this like knife. I don't know if you've seen it.
I had the knife for my own facial hair. Do you remember that?
Yes, yeah.
That's sweet.
So they have like a knife. So the bits that the tail rake don't get, the knife gets it now. So it makes it look much
It's kind of nicer as well, I think. I'm sure the pulling, like, I don't think I'd want my hair pulled out, if I'm honest.
No. And I don't pull manes either. I've got like a solo comb that I cut them with, because mine don't like the back combing bit. They go mad.
Do they? No way.
So yeah.
So showing this and then unaffiliated, and then what's the aim for next year then, once things are back to normal?
The aim for next
year, what do you
year,
event at? Are you like what level?
So I'm at 100.
Blinking it.
Going up to novice, with the aim being to go round a 1-star, and then that's my limit. 1 star is my limit, because then they get a bit big. So that's the aim.
But you might not feel like that once you've done the 1-star now. Come on, it's only a few centimeters more. What's up with you? Oh, yeah. Get to the 1-star first, and then
it's not the cross country that phases me. It's the show jumping, and I don't know why, because I show jumped as a kid for years, and I had a JA pony, and he was cracking. But yeah, I just kind of look at the show jumps. I go, oh my god.
Oh god.
Yeah. The cross country is fine, because I think because you're going on a pace, you can just kick on and just sit and kick and go for it.
Yeah.
So that's the aim with him. And then Milo, who's the show horse, I want to take him to Windsor. I want a picture of the castle in the background. I wanted to go this year, but obviously it got cancelled. I'd quite like to qualify him for RI.
What's RI, love?
Royal International.
Okay. And where's that held?
That's at Hickstead.
Okay.
So I'd quite like to qualify him for there, and depending how he goes, maybe go to Hoys. But
I was going to say Hoys would be amazing.
Hoys would be amazing. I've only ever been once, and we didn't have a very good experience. So yeah.
But look, at least you've been. You never get anywhere if you don't try, isn't it? Like,
Well, this is it. I only went as a groom.
no, it doesn't
I was
matter.
grooming,
Still
but,
good. Massive experience, though, isn't it? And it gives you
Yeah.
something to aim for.
Yeah, it was.
That's the
Yeah,
thing.
well, you just have an insight into these shows that you'd never get to go to otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. And it's totally different when you go and you're actually with someone really well. One of my best friends, Caitlin, she rode at Olympia quite well, like for loads of years. She's an amazing show jumper.
Oh, wow.
And it's totally different. Like
Yeah,
when you see the hustle and the bustle and all the horses
Yeah.
are there, and
yeah,
you know, you're like really, because you're there with your, like you were grooming with your team and you're cheering your own team on,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
just magical, isn't it? Absolutely.
I think the best one. I went to Royal International with our 2 cobs, and we had a lightweight and a heavyweight, and the heavyweight won his class.
Oh,
He then got to go into the main arena at Hickstead. And I'll never forget Louise Bell, who's now a dressage rider. She was the ride judge, and I was stood outside the ring, and she pulled him in first. And the rider was just like, "Who, me?" And she was like, "Yes, you." And there's me outside the ring, like bouncing up and down, going absolutely mental. As said, we got in the main ring, and so they have to walk, trot, and gallop. And as you gallop, you know, all the music's going and people are clapping. And she went round once and she came past me. She goes, "I'm going again because I might never ever get back in here." And off she went again.
Bless her.
It was just amazing. It really was. But yeah,
I would love to. I'd like to have a little go, because I think with the showing, you can, even at riding clubs, you can just have a go at stuff, can't you?
Yeah, go for it.
You know, have a little go. Although I might not. Again, I probably shouldn't clip before I went.
You'll be fine. I'll give you some.
It's I've never ever realised what a reverse Mohican was before until I'd done it myself. I was actually invented the horse with the reverse Mohican. Honestly,
it was her face.
I know. Well, I got that up the face, and she'd been really good at like the sort of not the nerve whiskers, like just a bit whiskery here. So I'd kind of got that fine, and then I'd gone straight up the middle, and then she clearly wasn't going to play that game. So I was like, well,
you see, showing they don't have any whiskers; they all come off.
Do they?
Yeah.
Controversial.
No hair whatsoever. Hair, like all whiskers off, like antennae off.
No
eyelashes all off.
Eyelashes.
Well, not the actual lashes. You know, like the antennae that stick out.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they all come off. Ears all hollowed out. I do feel mean doing that.
Well, just what it is.
Well, yeah,
it's their job, isn't it? That's the thing.
It's what they have to do. So
mental. It's mental. But thank you so much for coming on and talking about this.
You are more than
welcome. It's just so important. I think that's the thing.
It is really important.
And I think people will really identify with you as well, because you're normal, you know, just normal girl getting on with your life, and bang.
Literally, it can happen to anybody. So please go and get tested. Please.
Yeah, I second your statement. Let me just check, see if you have anything else that I need to tell you down this side. So we've had that one from there. Oh, Abigail's telling me off. Oh, so Kate is a nurse who's taken smears. She still gets nervous when it's her on the couch. Trying to get ladies to attend is always difficult, but the ramifications are massive. Well done, Emma, for your bravery. Vic says she's going to hound you. And she says, Vic says you're one incredible lady, and you too, Tracy. Kate says, would love to share this chat with my students. Are you recording this? Yes, we are, and I can send you a copy if you want to. Maeve says, do you still get screened now as normal, or do they do more regular smears?
I haven't had anything since my Volt smear.
Yeah, because there's nothing really to.
No,
once you get the margins in cancer, once you've got the margins and the margins are clear, there's none of those cervical cells to turn cancerous again, so it's all gone. Maeve and Vic say videos for clipping, please, please, please. Maeve says videos for plaiting. She's useless with anything hair related. Jackie says, does the world of showing keep whiskers on? We've just said no, don't they? Kate says, love hoof varnish and baby oil for making things sparkle. Sue says, it's nice to hear you say next year when we're back to normal. If the doctor thinks we'll get back to normal, it gives me hope. We will. There'll be another spike yet, guys, but bar that, we'll be all right. We're all rooting for you to get to Hoys. We absolutely are. Oh, question for me. How long have you had my horses for? So the little Bambaroo who's sleeping behind me, I've had her for... See, I don't know if I want to admit it because that's how long I haven't actually competed her for, because she scares me. Look at her sleeping. How can that scare you? 4 years, I think. Sid 3, Winnie 7 months, and the pony I think we've had for 3 years. So yeah.
I've had my horse 4 years and it's only just behaving, so you're fine.
Yeah, but at least you're getting on and riding.
I try to.
I got something quiet, but like, to be fair, I'd kind of been accepted as para at that point, and it was like, I think because I don't feel strong, like I felt too vulnerable and not strong enough. But I've got Maeve's bungee. I'm a bungee girl now.
In your lesson, you looked amazing.
Oh, thank you. I actually, do you know what the best thing with, and I don't know what it was about Abby, and it was just, she kind of, I don't know whether it's because of the yoga stuff and that, but she kind of like, she got the bits that didn't work, do you know what I mean? And she just made such small adjustments, and just things that she said, like, you know, in your trot, I'm going to tell you to do one thing. There's no point keep telling you 10 things, because you'll not know what you're doing. It's too much for your head to work all that out. And I was like, yeah, absolutely it is. And it was just, you know, I just felt like I was normal again for a bit. I know I'm not, and I know I can't, I never will be, but I felt like I was again. So I don't know if that is Abby, me, Maeve's bungee. I did take some
of everything.
Yeah, I did take some drugs beforehand. Not illegal ones, just a bit of anti-pain ones.
Okay.
And my milkshake. There we go. Which one was it? But yeah, no, I loved it. It was really, really good. Really, really good.
Really good.
So Maeve says thanks, Mill. Vic says thanks, Mill. So, and Tracy says thanks, Mill. So, and from me to you, thank you so much. So I really appreciate it. I will pop this onto, obviously it will stay on the Facebook anyway, but I will put it onto Instagram, so it'll be on IGTV. And then if people want to follow you, Emma, where's the best place? I know you're on Insta as Emma Berry Eventing, aren't you?
Yeah, so Instagram is Emma Berry Eventing. Facebook is, oh God, I recently changed it.
Did you? Well, I'll pop it on underneath the videos.
I think it's Emma Berry Equestrian.
Okay, well, we'll pop it on underneath the videos, and then people can follow you. But I can tell you now, I follow Emma. She does amazing stories. I really, really, really love your stories. I love it. Yeah, they're so gorgeous, and it's like sometimes you're the first thing that I see when I wake up in the morning. Like, you'll go out to the
crack of dawn, that's why.
I know, but it's so nice, and I'll be like, oh, Emma's up, I need to move. I'm not having the second cup of tea in bed. I'm actually going to get up. So no. Kate says, oh, Eden says, thank you both, Emma, you're amazing. Kate said, love watching your lesson this week. You've come such a long. Yeah, Kate James, lovely lady. I took Sid to a camp when it was my first go of actually riding not in a menage ever since the accident. I was absolutely petrified. I was supposed to take him through this water. Never mind the water. I'd just come off going over a jump, or attempting to go over a jump. Literally came off, totally decked out. And she walked with me through this water. It took ages to get him go through, but he did. And yes, I have. And I will never, ever forget that kindness she showed me, Kate. She was so patient having to walk through this water with me. I mean, it's worse than a child. Like, do you know what I mean? I was nearly crying. Like, oh, I can't do it. But yeah. But you did it. But we will catch up with you again soon. But yeah, definitely do some vids. Do some vids for us. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I will try and put up. I might even go live at Dallas Burton, so you can all see.
Oh, amazing! Yeah, I'd love to, because like the world of showing is a complete mystery.
It is actually, isn't it? Very closed doors, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially now, because no spectators are even allowed in.
Well, exactly. So throw those doors wide open, and we'll watch Emma. But you'll have to change to Emma Berry Eventing and Showing.
I know. I should just go Emma Berry trying, maybe.
No, not at all. But no, we'll definitely support you in that and watch it. Defo. Be amazing. It'd be amazing.